Hello, Dr. James Bogash, expert in health and longevity and creator of Bogash Life in Balance. And today we're going to talk about some meat choices, basically red versus white meat and high blood pressure. And before I go into that, we need to clarify something which every study does not, or very few studies actually look at. And that is, the two big questions is animal versus plant-based proteins. It is clear that getting more of our proteins from plant-based is always a better option. I generally promote a plant-based lifestyle, not necessarily a vegetarian or vegan. Humans were designed to be omnivores, so we would eat, I bet that, our ancestors ate things like rodents and insects and elk, and those things were probably, the larger game were probably lucky catches, and insects and rodents were probably more common. And of course fish. I think if we gave everybody a spear and said go out and get lunch, most people could probably, with some effort and time, catch a fish, but probably not an elk. So keep in mind, plant-based proteins will always be better. So your nuts, your seeds, those are great sources of proteins, certain whole grains, quinoa, all of those. And keep our animal-based proteins to the smaller intake. So wet animal-based proteins is always good. And I don't have a problem with red meat per se. I have more problems with commercially grown crappy chicken than I do organic, grass-fed throughout the life cycle beef. So keep in mind that the quality of meat is probably more important than whether it's red or white, and certainly the quantity. So we may buy more expensive meat, but we have a much smaller quantity of that, and so it kind of balances out. So a lot of times we'll buy our organic chicken breasts from Costco. You're looking at 3 packages. We always try to find the smallest, so you figure maybe about 18 bucks, $6 a package. Of that package, the chicken and I, we usually go for 2 meals for us. So we're looking at about $3 a meal for high quality chicken. Same thing goes with bison or organic, fully grass-fed, no grain finished, grass-fed beef. So that brings us to this study, which, and any study looking at red meat versus white meat intake doesn't look at the quality of them, and that they really have to, because that makes all the difference in the world. But it was a study done on people with high blood pressure. They followed them for an average of almost 11 and a half years. There were 8,000 people in the study, so a pretty big study. And they found that those people who ate red meat had a 29% higher risk of dying from anything, not just high blood pressure. People who ate white meat had a 23% lower risk of dying. So pretty, I should say those are quartiles. So basically the higher red meat intake had a 29% higher risk, and the versus the highest white meat intake was 23% lower. Interestingly enough, when they followed these people, the people who started taking in more red meat after their diagnosis of high blood pressure, which would seem a little strange to me, but the people that did had a 55% higher risk of dying if they started taking in more red meat after their diagnosis of high blood pressure. So I don't know why somebody would do that. Certainly, I don't know, maybe you get diagnosed with high blood pressure and it's time to go eat more fast food. I don't know. But clearly the meat intake, whether it was red or white, had a difference in the study. But all of these studies always point out that we're not looking at the quality of it. We're just looking at whether it's red meat or white meat. And both of those have their challenges in today's society. So as always, I will post a link to this particular study in the description. Make sure you like this video, share it with somebody who you think needs the information, and subscribe to the channel.